What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the Draftkings prediction show. We have UFC Atlantic City, Erin Blanchfield going against Manon Fiorot. And yeah, really looking forward to this card. We got 14 fights to work with, 14 very solid fights. And yeah, we are here with a special guest. Weezy is in Paris. We got Gordo, Monk, and Lou. We'll kick it first to Lou, the special guest. Lou, it's been a while. How have you been? And are you looking forward to UFC Atlantic City, a card you will be attending?
Oi! Yes! Thank you guys for having me on. I always love doing the show. It's been a while, but I hang out with Monk constantly, so I've picked up some DFS tips along the way. Very excited for this card. Not thrilled from a betting perspective, but very excited to go from a fan perspective. Mike's MMA picks is going to be there. Like, what more do I need? But I think it's a really cool card to break down DFS-wise. Like, I did struggle with one category, but I think it's fun to break down. And just again, thanks for having me on.
Yep, thanks for coming on and giving us your time, Lou. We got Gordo in the building. Gordo, you looking forward to UFC Atlantic City?
Oh my, you know, a few reasons. Not only do I get to have Lou below me here, but it's a great week for all of us. We get to pester Monk about the Pleasure Man and talk about his favorite fighter in the world and have a good time doing so. Aside from that, though, it is a pretty good card, especially DFS-wise. I'm excited to break it down. A lot of viable plays on the slate, a lot of different ways you can go ahead and target it. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about it. And I hope we can go out there and cash some tickets.
Yeah, I thought the last Pleasure Man fight would be the last time we got to talk to Monk about him, but I guess they're giving him one more shot after starting 0-3. So that's very interesting. Monk, how you doing? You looking forward to UFC Atlantic City?
Yes, welcome to the Pleasure Dome. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean, there's 14 cards or 14 fights here. We got some decent, decent main cards, some decent prelims. I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully Ebo doesn't completely turn into a gas bag in this fight. That'll make me extremely happy. So yeah, looking forward to this AC card. Let's get into it.
I'm sending a very important text. All right, before we get into it, if you guys could please do me a favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. We go live every Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And let's shout out the chat. We got Elijah Dream, first one in the building. Let's go indeed. And Elijah, I see some questions in the chat. I will star those right now and we will get to them towards the end. If anybody else has any questions, type them in the chat and we will get to them as always. We got Randy in the building. What is up, Randy? Epic Cappers will be there as well. So Lou, maybe you can hit up Epic Cappers. Lou, you said you'll be at the bar and you'll be yelling at people, which I can totally see. Andres in the building. What is up? What is up? All right, guys. I say we get into it. UFC Atlantic City, 14 fights on the slate. We're going to kick it off, as always, with the fight to target. And let's start with Lou. Lou, what is your favorite fight to target for UFC Atlantic City?
I don't want to steal anybody's thunder on this one because I think there's one really, really obvious one. So I'll lay off that. And let's just go right into the Pleasure Man and Aslan. You're getting really even salaries for this. Aslan's really front-loaded. If he fades after the first round, Pleasure Man has some grappling upside. I can't look at his history here because his DraftKings history is terrible, and Aslan has zero DraftKings history. So I can't really play historical things. You just play the way you think it's going to go. They do have history fighting each other. Aslan looked okay in the first round. I think he's live for a first-round knockout, especially because Turkali's coming off getting knocked out by Tyson Pedro. So you never know there. And if he doesn't get it done in the first round, he probably gets taken down and submitted in the second. You get the grappling equity and the second-round finish from Turkali. So there is a more obvious one on this card, but one of you is going to say it. So just wanted to say the Pleasure Man before Monk got to it.
I don't know if Monk would be talking about the Pleasure Man. Maybe as the fade, we'll have to see. Yeah, I think there's a couple really strong fights to target on the card, and that was one of them. I'm going to go with Chidi and Njokuani versus Rhys, McKee. And this is kind of like the Ebo Pleasure Man fight in a sense that I think it's going to be Chidi early or Rhys, McKee late. Chidi, I think, is very front-loaded, and I think he's going to be even more front-loaded dependent in a fight where he's cutting down to 170 for the first time since 2016, which doesn't make a ton of sense because at 185, the guy looked huge. And I'm not even convinced he's going to make weight on Friday. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think it's Chidi early, and I think a Chidi early knockout is very much on the table. Rhys McKee's a walking punching bag. He's super tough, but you can only be so tough. Like Chidi hits like a truck. But we've seen that Rhys has been able to take a beating before and push it down later on the stretch and get that second or third round finish. I think whoever wins this fight is going to score very well. And I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight also. So yeah, give me Chidi and Njokuani, Rhys, McKee as my favorite fight to target. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target for Atlantic City?
Two good ones there, both on my list. I'm gonna repeat of last week, man. Give me the main event, women's flyweight fight. Fantastic fight here between Blanchfield and Fiorot. I know supposedly a lot of people are like, well, it's wrestler versus or grappler versus striker. While that could end up being the case, both of these women are throwing mad volume right now. 4 strikes a minute against Santos, 7.7 against Andrade, 7 against McCann, 6.2 against Aldrich. I mean, Blanchfield, while she's the grappler, is out here just landing strikes constantly. Meanwhile, Manon Fiorot, 4 strikes a minute, 6.5, 5.5, 6, 10.5 against Tabitha Ricci. Guys, if this is anything like the striking-ish battle that we got last week, both sides are going to score very well, especially if we work in some grappling from one of these women. Obviously the Blanchfield side. But I don't think Fiorot is just gonna crumble to any, takedown attempts. I think this is going to be a banger of a fight, all 5 rounds. And I really think, honestly, both sides, winner and loser, could score pretty decently in this one. So give me the main event here between Blanche and, or I guess it's Blanchfield, according to the UFC. Blanchfield and Fiorot here.
Yeah, how'd they mess that one up? I mean, come on, it's not even a hard name to spell, but yeah, weird. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target?
Yeah, I got one here in particular, but I'm curious to see what Lou's obvious target was. I mean, this is a good time to say. You want to share with the crowd here, Lou?
Yeah, Malkoun Petrosky.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about right here. It's a grappler's delight. And you know me, every time I go out there, I love my wrestlers. I love my guys who can keep a pace. So I think you guys know which side I'll be on for this one. But it truly rates out as a pretty interesting matchup. On one side of things, you have Jacob Malkoun landing 7.2 takedowns for 15 minutes, fighting at a very, very hellacious pace. Against a guy named Petrosky, who lands 4.48 at his own rate. I mean, both these guys are extremely high-paced grapplers, different styles. All right, I do think Petrosky has that more big body, blast double, wants to pound you out, whereas Malkoun's okay to cardio you, take you back to the ground over and over and over again. But those styles lead to an interesting matchup. I do think it's either going to be Petrosky having more finish equity, because we have seen Malkoun knocked out before, just like Cody Brundage did, or it's going to be Petrosky tiring out and Malkoun taking over late. And of course, when I mentioned Brundage, I am joking. I do think that there is an interesting level to this. Malkoun is someone who scored 67 points in a loss. I do think this fight is fought at a very high pace, and it is one that has a ton of grappling. I do love this one right here.
All right, yeah, four solid ones there. We'll move on now to the fight to fade. We'll start with you, Monk. Monk, which fight are you fading on this card?
Honestly, this was a tough one. Overall, I'm trying to sit here, do this whole card. I'm like, it's kind of tough getting through these notes this week. I think that just means some really good fights. But I only had 2 written down for this one, and it was a struggle. I'm going to go with Godinez and Virna Jandiroba here, simply because both of them average under 100 points per win, and that's Godinez put up like 130, almost 128 against Elise Reed. So her number is that low with 128 point score in there. I mean, Calvillo 66, 69, nice from Tabitha Ricci, and then 88 Dakota. Meanwhile, Jandiroba, she's doing well when she wins, but it's 86, 95, 76. We're not quite at the triple digits where I think we need to be, even though the salaries, aren't crazy out of control here. I just think it goes to decision more often than not. Probably the winner scores 75 to like 88 points in that range. And I just don't think it pays off. So a lot of fights that I'm definitely not fading, but this is one I will kind of fade a little bit. Godinez, Jandiroba.
All right, Gordo, which fight are you fading?
Yeah, my fade might ruffle a few feathers because I've seen a lot of people on him, but I'm fading Bill Algeo and Kyle Nelson this week. I think Bill Algeo is a guy you don't really want to fade. He has that high-paced style. He is someone to go out there and fight really fast. But Kyle Nelson has had the ability to neutralize opponents recently. And you know what? Canadian glory. He's gone out there, had some success. He's the pride of Canadian MMA right now. But when it comes to DraftKings, this isn't really what you want to go out there and back. Although Algeo has a path going out there and utilizing his cardio, utilizing his pace and pressure to break Mr. Kyle Nelson down the stretch, it doesn't really come with much grappling, in my opinion. It is just predicated on volume, and I don't think he has one-shot knockout power, and we have seen him go out there and put up pretty dominant performances and still not score that well. I do think he's a guy who needs a ton of volume, although he could get it. He doesn't have the best stylistic matchup to go out there and land 100, 200 strikes, right? Against a guy in Kyle Nelson who wants to fight from range. Flip side of things, 7.1K Kyle Nelson, not the guy I want to get too often. Last 2 decision wins scored 63 and 62.6. I mean, the guy, like I've said twice already, wants to slow down this fight. And although he has tools to land finishes, I don't think he gets one here. I think he is really focused on using his slower pace to go out there and have success. And I don't think he gets it. A fight as a whole, I think there are just better options.
Yeah, I went with the same thing as well, fading the Bill Algeo Kyle Nelson fight. I actually really like Bill Algeo to win this fight. I'm just kind of seeing it the same way. Bill Algeo, I don't think he's going to go out there and get an early finish. I don't think he's going to go out there and really go for many takedowns. I think he's going to put a pace on him, land a good amount of significant strikes, but I'm thinking like a late finish for Bill Algeo, maybe even a decision as well. And he's 9,100. And you look at the fighters around him, Jacob Malkoun, Ruziboev, Silva, even a Julio Arce who's 9,500. I think he wins. I think he scores decent, but I just like the finishing upside and the grappling upside from the guys around him a little bit more. So I'm right there with you, Gordo. Lou, which fight are you fading for this week?
Just so you know, I talked to Eric Carner, Algeo's coach, and he said they're going to win this weekend. So
Let's
there's
go.
your hot
Inside information.
Monk took mine, so I'm going to go with my second one. I'm going to go Connor Matthews against Dennis Bazooka here. First of all, you're really not getting any value on the salaries. They're pretty close, 7,800, 8,400. So I don't think you're getting value considering what the money line is. This fight's slated to go over. It's minus 135 for fight goes. They're two bums. Matthews has some grappling upside, but you look at the gym with Bazooka trains at, and like his takedown defense is probably only get better. This is going to be a kind of a boring 15-minute on the fight striking battle. I think the winner probably gets mid 70s at maybe their ceiling. So I don't really have any interest in this one. And not only that, but like it's, the same principles. I don't like to fade a bad fighter with another bad fighter. I just think it's super unpredictable. The line, even the money lines, don't even know. This is a fight that most cappers seem to be like just completely passing on as a bet. So I'm going to join them right there with them in DraftKings.
Yeah, it's actually my least favorite fight on the card, that Matthews fight. Not really looking forward to that one. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be hilarious because both guys aren't that good. But in terms of putting any money on it, I'm not sure I can get there. Let's keep going to our fighter to fade. I think, Monk, you talked about this fight as a whole a little bit. I'm fading Luque Godinez. And again, I like her to win the fight. It's just, how I see it playing out is she should not go for takedowns here. If she does, something's up. She shouldn't. She needs to use her wrestling defensively, keep it on the feet. And when she does, I think she's going to get the better of the striking exchanges across 15 minutes. I just don't think that's going to score too well at 8,900. On top of that, maybe Verna can win. Maybe Verna is able to get this fight down to the mat in her own right. Maybe Luque does make a mistake and get this fight down to the mat. So I think Lupe's path to victory is kind of a point fighting, stay on the outside type fight across 15. And at 8,700, I don't think that scores all that well. So right there with Monk on that one. Gordo, what fighter are you fading for this week?
Yeah, that's one I have written down as well. I'm a huge Luque fan. Don't let her forget the Canadian roots there. She is someone I like to cheer for as well. But you mentioned it here. She has been content to go out there and utilize her strike, and I think she can do that to a good degree and potentially win this fight at a high clip, yet just not score very well. Doesn't have that same grappling equity usually does. Just to be a bit different here, I also mentioned Dennis Bazooka. I know Lou already talked about him in that matchup. But I just don't think at 8.4K is able to live up his salary. I think he's a guy who does fight out of a weaker camp, fights at the same camp as Champaloris Grigoriou too. So let's not really mention the camp too much. This is one that I think Bazooka just has a path to victory that just doesn't outscore the people around him. I think he has the ability to utilize his range, but we've never seen Matthews knocked out. I do think Bazooka has a path that just doesn't score very well. So I'm also fading him there at 8.4K.
All right, Lou, which fighter are you fading for this week?
Let's get a little controversial now. I'm going to fade Julio Arce at 9,500. I have a couple of reasons for this. First of all, if you're going to buy somebody at that salary, you either need a round one KO, need a lot of grappling upside. I don't think Arce has either one. He hasn't had a round one KO since his debut. He only has 3 round one finishes in his life, and the last one was in 2014. I also think Burns, say what you want about his cardio. The dude's super live. Yeah, he looked tired against Algeo, but Algeo pushed a crazy pace. Arce doesn't push that kind of crazy pace. I think his best case scenario here is probably a round 2 or round 3 finish. He's not huge volume. I don't think Burns is going to take a ton of shots either. So you're going to get a couple of strikes, the knockdown, and a round 2 finish. You look at the guys at this range, like for this 9K range. I mean, Loughran has takedown equity. Silva has round 1 equity. Ruziboev has takedown equity and round 1 equity. Even Algeo could just put a huge pace on as the fight goes on. I don't see Arce doing that. He's not going to initiate grappling here unless he gets a round 1 KO. I don't know how he really pays off his salary here.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I guess the only thing I have to worry about is Herbert quitting on the stool, but I kind of see it the same way. I'm thinking Arce round 2. Yeah, he's missing the smoking jacket. That's what it is. Just
I said oi.
That is true. That is true. You did. All right, Monk, which fighter are you fading for this week?
Yeah, you guys talked about it. I only had 2 fights to fade. I only have 2 fighters to fade because generally I don't put any fades that are underdogs. I try to pick favorites to give a little different. It's Bill Algeo for the reasons you guys said. Again, like you, Lou, easy. I'm picking Algeo to win. I'm picking him to win. I'm rooting for him as well. I'm a fan. And of course, I got to back my guy Lou here. But I just don't know about the optimal lineup. I'll be looking elsewhere. I mean, these guys covered it perfectly. We don't think it's going to be, a bunch of takedowns or super high volume because of the way Kyle Nelson fights. As Gordo said, slowing everything down. I completely agree. So give me the fade on old Billy there. Should be Lupe Godinez. This is her 11th fight since 2021. I don't know if anyone has fought more than her since then. That's insane to me. Insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. I remember the one time she fought back-to-back weeks, I think.
Yep.
It's Luana Carolina, and she beat I think Silvana Gomez-War or something like that. So yeah, very active there. All right, let's keep moving on to our favorite dog. I think I'll kick this one off, and I think this one is more so just because Monk's on the show. But my favorite dog is going to be, because I got to talk about him. It's going to be the Pleasure Man. And it was very pleasurable putting him into my lineup this week. And yeah, I mean, my pick is probably Ivo Aslan by KO 1, but Anton Turkalj, this guy has a ton of wrestling upside, a ton of takedown upside, control time upside. And we saw what happened in the first fight. Turkalj was able to survive that early storm. And once the fight hit the second round, he was able to get on top of Aslan and then finish him shortly after. So I don't mind Turkalj. He could get knocked out in the first round, but if he is able to extend this fight, I think it heavily favors him. And I think he has that grappling upside to get a second or third round finish. And he is also the Pleasure Man, which I like as well. So give me Anton Turkalj. There's a decent amount of dogs sticking out, but he would be somebody with some solid upside there. Gordo, who is your favorite dog for this week?
My pleasure. I'll go next. No, I do like that one too, but we'll talk about someone different here. Let's go a little bit of a line value on this one. Rhys McKee, 7.6K. I think when it comes down to going out there and picking a fighter with win equity, a guy who we think can win more than the line entails, he kind of fits that criteria. 7.6K. He is someone who is now plus 150 in the money line. And although I am picking Njokuani, I do think it is a very, very close fight, especially if we look at the win condition for Rhys McKee. He has a 100% finish rate. He's facing somebody who is making a cut down for the first time in a while, and someone who has quit on himself before. I do think there's going to be a 15-minute striking affair, one that does have a lot of power involved, and one where I think the winner does come out with a KO victory. If that's the case for Rhys McKee at 7.6K, a knockdown, a finish, I do think that is a win condition that can score very, very well at 7.6K. Of course, it's an opportunity for him to get nuked early on, but still, I do think Rhys McKee wins more than the line entails and is a very live underdog with some finish upside here.
All right, Lou Betya, who is your favorite dog for this week?
It's not the Pleasure Man, Monk. So don't worry.
And that's why we do a show together, Lou.
Show's still alive. Come on, man. Where am I from? Give me Petrosky at 7,200. He's got takedown upside here. Cody Brundage took down Malkoun. Brendan Allen took down Malkoun. On the feet, it's night and day. Petrosky's going to have all the optics. They have the same reach, but it doesn't look like they do because like Malkoun has those weird like T-Rex arms, like look weird to me. I think Petrosky can get reversals on the ground. I think he can get top time. I think any win for him probably involves a finish. And he could get a first round finish here. I mean, look, I don't like the MMA math, but like you have Nick Maximoff, who was literally on one leg, and Malkoun just was like, okay, we're gonna fight 15 minutes. That's all there is to it. And you have Petrosky's like, I'm just gonna murder this dude. Like ran through him. I think Petrosky at his best can run through people. I think at his worst, yeah, he gasses, but he definitely win the first round. There's no way he's going to get finished here. Just not Malkoun style. So I think even in a loss, Petrosky could probably get you 30, 35 points, which isn't bad floor. But I think he's got a real good shot to win here. And if he does, he's getting over 100 points.
All right. So we got Petrosky for Lou. Monk, who are you liking, and why is it the pleasure man?
Oh God. Oh, gives me shivers, and not good shivers either. Yeah, the pleasure man. Jesus. I'm gonna go with Andre Petrosky as well. You guys said Rhys McKee. He was on my list. Whoever Brady said first, I can't remember. I agree with as well. I like Petrosky. I'm gonna back my guy Lou. Oh yeah, no, I don't agree with the pleasure. Did he say the pleasure man?
I did.
See, no, I don't agree.
You heard it here first. You agree.
No, that's fake news.
You
Fake
agree.
news. Yeah, now I'm completely the pleasure man has thrown me. I'm going with Petrosky. Backing Lou up here. I don't think Malkoun is like just kind of a plug and play kind of guy when it comes to DFS, but I think Petrosky in this matchup has the same kind of argument. I mean, Lou summed it up perfectly. Malkoun has showed holes in his game, and as long as he isn't being a dirty little cheater, then Petrosky could have a good chance here at winning a non-DQ type of fight. So, yeah, at 7,200, I think this line is kind of crazy, to be completely honest. Both guys could score phenomenally well in a win, and so, therefore, I'm definitely throwing in Andre Petrosky for one of my favorite dogs.
Yeah, I agree. I thought I saw the line, I thought it was crazy, and it's only got like worse. Like Malkoun is now minus 250. So people are liking them some Jacob Malkoun this week. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If Petro didn't have a cardio issue, what's this line?
Maybe a pick 'em.
Yeah, wait, also, they're telling me that the pleasure man has an OnlyFans. Is this true?
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
yeah, but can I quote Pepe on this? Pepe said he only has an OnlyFans to look at other people's and be like, she was mine before she was yours. So like, he's not really using it to promote his own things.
What?
Yeah, that might be it.
Oh,
right.
I like Dixon's question he just put in the chat. That's pretty funny.
Oh, I'll start and we'll get to the questions towards the end. I like to star the questions so we can get them. All right. Let's see. Where's my sheet at? There it is. Okay, so now we're going with our prize picks section. Let's kick it off to Monk. Monk, what are you liking from a prize picks perspective this week?
Oh, I feel like I'm bullying a guy that I'm gonna fucking pick, and I feel kind of bad about it at this point. Like it's gonna be Bill Algeo under 79.5 significant strikes. Again, I think he gets the win. But it's like just like you guys said, it's how slow or how slowly the fight Kyle Nelson, how he just slams on the brakes in his freaking fights, man. Algeo did land 110 against Hernandez, but before that it's been 64. We're at 81, which is over, but just barely. 28 and 59. I know those don't mean much if you're not going to decision, but we're talking less than like 4 strikes a minute against Brito, 4 against Burns, 5 against Feely. And then it's gone up against TJ Brown and Hernandez. I do think Nelson is going to slow that down significantly. So even in a 3-round decision, I think Algeo might struggle to hit over 79.5. So we're going to go the under here for Algeo on significant strikes.
All right, Algeo less on the significant strikes. I'm going to take a more here on the significant strikes. I'm going to take the more on these significant strikes for Colin Loughran here. The reason being he's going against Angel Pacheco, and Angel Pacheco is a walking punching bag. He showed a 35% striking defense on the Contender Series. He ate like 200 significant strikes against Danny Silva, and really anything that Loughran throws is going to land here. And what I like about Pacheco, although he is super hittable, has no striking defense, he's super tough. He has 2 losses, both come by decision. So I think Loughran's going to hit him in the face a bunch, and I think he's going to hit him in the face a lot more than only the 46.5 significant strikes do indicate. I think he can cage push here a little bit, take him down a little bit. But again, anything that he does throw at range, I think is hitting this guy in the face. So give me the more on the significant strikes. Monk, you're taking less on the Algeo significant strikes. Lou, what are you taking from a prize picks perspective?
I'm going to take Bruno Silva under 30.5 significant strikes. I actually think there's a path for Weidman here. If he shows like whatever he can do. Like maybe he just goes in the Wayback Machine. And if he does, it involves him just getting takedowns and Silva doing nothing. And if Silva hits Weidman 30 times, he's probably dead. So I think either side of this equation under 30.5 strikes is Silva doesn't throw a lot of jabs. He's throwing heat. And I don't know that Weidman's going to be able to take more than one of those shots at this point. So, and when Weidman's getting KO'd, it's round 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like Bruno Silva's not landing 30 significant strikes with Weidman.
Unless he's like 30 shin kicks. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's the only way because, yeah, that is a lot. I like that one. Gordo, what do you like from a prize picks perspective?
Yeah, I also have a Cal Loughran prop. I was actually going over on his takedowns, but you can't parlay those together. So let me go somewhere different here. Let's continue to pick on one of my favorite fighters. Let's continue to pick on Lupe Godinez. I do like her very much. I think she wins this fight at a high clip, but 83 fantasy points? I don't think so. This is a scoring chart that only has 20 points for a decision. I do think that is a major path to victory here. And I do think this is a spot where she's not going to get too many takedowns. She's limited to those strikes. And I do think this is a spot where she goes out there and outstrikes Virna Jandiroba towards a 3-round decision. And if that's the case, I don't think she eclipses 83 points. I think you need either takedowns for that or a finish. And in doing so, I don't really think that that is something that Godinez does. In her last win against Rhys, she went up there, put 69 points on DraftKings. It would be even less on Prize Picks. This is just an under I'm looking to take here.
All right, there we go. That is the prize picks for UFC Atlantic City. Let's move on to our GPP play of the week. We'll start with Monk. What do you like for a GPP play this week?
Yes, now it is time. Ibo Aslan, the last Ottoman, taking on the Pleasure Man. Are you kidding me? The Pleasure Man allowing 7 strikes a minute against Tyson Pedro, who landed like 0.7 strikes a minute against Bukauskas, 2.6 against Petrino, 3 point. This dude he's landed 41, 42 strikes in 3 fights in the UFC so far. No, this is it for Turkalj. It'll be my pleasure to watch him get on the Hogwarts Express and take him back to wherever they name people the Pleasure Man, because Ibo Aslan is going to finish this guy in the first round. I sure hope he does, because if he does it, I'm going to be very, very upset, because absolutely Turkalj, I mean, with the takedowns, and it's not a good look for me after round 1. But round 1 is 5 minutes, and that's all Ibo has to do is land that shot, finish Turkalj, knock him down, pounce on him, and just make the ref step in before there is blood everywhere. So give me Ibo Aslan at what I think is a very good price of 8,300. This guy's going to score 50,000 points in a 1-second finish. Let's go, Ibo Aslan.
I could see it. One second. We could see the first 1-second finish ever.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. But I'm going with maybe a controversial one here. It's a highly debated fight, believe it or not, this week. It's Nursulton Ruziboev going against Sedriques Dumas. I'm going with Ruziboev here, 9,200. I think his path here is a first round finish. And if he does not get the first round finish, I actually have some potential concerns. But I think it's kind of a rough matchup for Dumas in a sense that, on the feet, I worry about Dumas. I mean, the Josh Fremd fight was a terrible look. He was getting hurt multiple times in that first and second round. Ruziboev clearly showed the power in his debut against Bruno Ferreira. And then on the ground, I worry about Dumas. Ruziboev's grappling's no joke. He's been training with those Philly boys, and I think there's a good chance that he either gets a knockout here, or if this fight does hit the mat, he gets that submission. More specifically, that Kimura, I think, is very much on the table. So give me Ruziboev for that first round upside. But again, I think if this fight gets extended, it might get a little bit iffy. But I don't mind him at 9,200. Gordo, what are you liking for a GPP play this week?
I should have known that Monk would talk about Ibo Aslan any way to spite that man. That's who I had circled as well. But second option here for me is Bruno Silva, 9.3K. And I'm not going to go too long about this one because Lou just talked about it. I mean, this guy, Bruno Silva, throws with fighting intention every time. And he's facing an aged veteran here in Weidman. And while I think Weidman has an opportunity, I may even be talking about him later in this video. This is still one where I think that Silva's path to victory is early knockout success. And I do think that is definitely on the table. You have a guy with Silva throw as heavy as he does. He has wins where he's been able to eclipse 105 points. I mean, he scored 108 against Wright, 109 against Tavares, and I do think he has the opportunity to go out there and score very well in this matchup too. GPP play, but one that I do think has a good chance of hitting.
Yeah, that's another really good look there. And then Lou, what are you liking for a GPP play this week?
Okay, I'm going to play this one a little differently for my reason. I'm going to go with Joaquin Buckley at 8K, and this is why I like it as a GPP play. Yes, he has grappling upside. He has KO upside as well. Outside of the Arroyo fight, he always scores 100 when he wins by finish. But what I like about this specifically for a GPP play on this show is he gives you the flexibility to even maybe get 3 guys in that low 9K range. If you want to go stars and scrubs, he gives you a lot of lineup flexibility at 8K for a guy who probably is going to close as the favorite. He might be minus 120 or higher by the time the fights get off. So you're getting really good value money line versus his salary anyway. And his upside is 110 points, maybe more if he does mix in grappling here. I don't know that he will, but he does give you the lineup flexibility I think you need to win a tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I'm surprised we actually just now talked about that Luque Buckley fight, that co-main event. I think that can score very well. All right, let's move on to our favorite cash play. We'll start with you, Gordo. Who are you liking for cash this week?
Yeah, for me, it's Kyle Loughran, 9.4K. Very expensive salary to have to get to, but I do think this guy has a ton of potential to score very, very well. Not only do I think he wins this fight a lot of the time, but he has incredible wrestling upside. He shot 11 takedowns against Taylor Lapilus in his debut and could maintain a very good pace. And now he gets a guy with much worse takedown defense or striking defense or defense as a whole, to put it that way. I do think he has an opponent in front of him where he can have a ton of drafting success, whether it be volume on the feet, whether it be ground game. Either way, he has a very, very high floor, in my opinion, because of the pace he fights at and because the opponent in front of him. And I do think that when it comes to cash plays, you want that kind of floor. His ceiling is also there as well. I do like him as a whole. If you can afford to get up to a 9.4K, I really do like him this week.
All right, Colin Loughran, 9,400. Lou, who are you liking for cash this week?
Same as Gordo. I just want to add that, what we haven't talked about is Pacheco moving down in weight. We don't know what it'll look like. We don't know how it's going to affect his chin. Loughran also like a ton of grappling upside. I think he can win by knockout. I think in a decision he scores well. I think the lowest he scores here is probably 90 points. So at least you're 10xing his salary. And just a good time to mention, though, that Loughran, his first two guys he fought in the UFC are a combined 0-70, which I'm not sure that's ever happened. Or first two guys he fought as a pro, 0-31 and 0-39. I don't know that I've ever seen that. So I may want to throw those two, out when capping his career stats. But I do think he has a lot of upside here. Even against Lapilus, man, who looks decent. He looked okay in that fight. Tough guy to get down, but cardio looked good. Striking looked pretty good. I think he hits a lot harder than Danny Silva did at 145. Just doesn't throw as much volume, but I think he can land on Pacheco. I think ground and pounds live, subs live. Decision with a lot of takedowns is live too. So a lot of ways he can get you 10x.
There you go. So another Colin Loughran there. For me, for cash, I'm going with somebody who I actually really like to win this week and somebody that's not too expensive. It's Melissa Gatto, 8,500. I think she has sneaky finish upside here. I think she's going to be the much more dangerous submission grappler. She can finish the fight whether on top or bottom. And then on the feet, she's a good striker. Her striking's improved a lot, throughout her career, and she's flashing power as well. A 75% finish rate. Dudakova's coming up a weight class, and just seeing Dudakova struggle against some of these smaller strawweights like Jin Yu Fry and that chick on the Contender Series, I think Gatto has a good chance to get this fight down to the mat and potentially finish the undefeated Dudakova. So 8,500. I'm liking Gatto for cash. Monk, who are you liking for cash this week?
Absolutely had Loughran up there. I've talked about Bill Algeo a bunch of times, but in a positive way, I have Algeo as a good cash play. So I should at least mention that. I'll just quickly mention, because we haven't talked about this fight, Jamall Emmers at what, 89? Yeah, 8,900 taking on Nate Landwehr. This should be a banger fight, to be honest, but I do lean Jamall Emmers. I mean, pulled 130 points out of absolutely freaking nowhere against Dennis Bazukia. Had a good performance against Hussein Ashtabov. Vince Cachero is on his list as well. He should have won the fight against Jack Jenkins if you look at the stats. Very close fight, but he did end up putting almost 50 points up in a loss at 8,600. That's a damn good score for a losing fighter. The only time he's faced adversity really in the past, or big adversity in his past 5, is against Sabatini, who subbed him in under 2. I'm not expecting that from Nate Landwehr, but Jamall Emmers should employ a decent striking game here, and I think should have the edge over Landwehr. So I'm willing to take a shot on Emmers at 8,900 for a decent cash play this week.
Yeah, we should have named this podcast like the Bill Algeo podcast.
I know.
We mentioned him like 50 times.
Three haters and like his biggest fan.
Yeah. I mean, I like Bill. I'm probably going to bet on Bill Algeo this weekend, but from a DraftKings perspective, I'm not a big fan of Algeo. That's
the last time I saw him live, he won by second round finish. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I bet him to win in second round by against TJ Brown. That was awesome.
Oh, that was Herbert Burn.
Herbert, yeah.
Same. He also beat Brown by second round sub. So, I think we covered everybody for the cash play. That was cash, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So value play then, and I will let's let Gordo kick this one off. Gordo, who are you liking for some value this week?
I just kick to drop my George St. Pierre bobblehead again. He's already been glued once. I can't have that happen again. So I'm all over the place right now. Value play, let's take some risk. And speaking of old legends who should probably be retired, Chris Weidman, 6.9K, is someone who I think could look like hindsight value. He does have a clear path to victory. And of course, you can go out there and be nuked in the first 10 seconds, but he is someone who, if he grapples, has a very high DraftKings floor and ceiling. He is someone who has the ability to go out there, utilize that wrestling. It's someone who can be held down, someone who can be taken down in the first place, and in theory could look like a hindsight value play at 6.9K. Now, very risky play, not the best guy or not the best point of his career. You want to be betting on him, but he does have the skills to go out there and execute a path to victory. And at 6.9K, I do think that would look like hindsight value.
All right. Yeah, it absolutely could. The path is certainly there. For me, I'm going to go with, I'm actually going to pass it to Lou because I lost my spot. Lou, who are you liking? Wait. Who was I picking? Yeah, it's Rhys McKee. Rhys McKee, 7,600. I completely lost my train of thought there. But yeah, Rhys McKee on the money line, he's actually only like plus 120, plus 115-ish. And I do want to see the weigh-ins here. Like if Chidi shows up looking like complete crap, I'll like Rhys McKee just a little bit more. And I think there's a good chance he gets starched in the first round. Like I said, I think there's a very good chance he gets knocked out early. But if he does survive those first couple minutes, he is going to win this fight. He has multiple second and third round finishes. He has solid cardio, solid toughness, solid durability, and solid finishing ability as well. And he's really cheap, 7,600. I like Rhys McKee as a value play there. Lou, who are you liking for some value?
If you want to play the money line game, so can I, Brady, because this line has been moving all day. And as much as I don't like him, Sedriques Dumas at 7K. Clint, man, I guess Clint has 9,000 units on him now because he's down to plus 170 and it's trending like it's going to keep going. You're getting a guy at 7K who's going to, I mean, at this rate, 150 he might end up with, 155. You're getting a guy at 7K. I don't care about the DraftKings points for that. If you're getting like the second lowest salary on the card at plus 150 on this card, let's do it. You got to play him in something. So even though Nursulton is like a Philadelphian now, sort of, does he count? Does he qualify?
Yes.
And by the way, being in jail, I see Dixon say, great base for MMA. Fantastic base for MMA. You have a gym. You're always alert. You eat.
Well, the gym is your cellmate.
You eat like cauliflower and eggs. Like it's all, you're eating protein and shit. So I don't know.
Dixon, it was not 70%. It was only like probably 50% of his camp was in jail. But yeah, I mean, I kind of saw that too. Money's pouring in on SD Dumas. He's now plus 170. Ruziboev is minus 200. So that's going to be very interesting. And then I think Monk, who are you liking for a value play?
Let's see. We're gonna go with Manon Fiorot here at 7,400. I think I already talked about this at the head of the show. I think this line should be probably much closer than it is. I think 7,400 is a steal for Manon Fiorot. Yeah, she didn't put on her greatest ever performance against Rose Namajunas, but I mean, she's looked really good. Before that, I guess Jennifer Maia would have been the last grappler she really faced. Allowed only one takedown. Ended up getting a decent win there, a decent decision win. She fought Mayra Bueno Silva, who doesn't really take people down, but is good on the ground, really good. And she took her down twice and controlled her for 27% of that fight. So at 7,400, I mean, if things start going Fiorot's way, even if this goes all 25 to decision, like I said at the beginning, I think she has the potential to score very well, win or loss. So I like Manon Fiorot at 7,400. I cannot believe she's this cheap.
Yeah, she's very cheap. Cement wall for a punching bag. Goodness. Yeah, I wonder if SD Dumas is going to show up in the cage with like an ankle monitor on, like he's on probation. Would that be the first time ever? Like an ankle monitor in the cage?
Probably.
It's got to be. We'll see. We'll find out. All right. Now we'll move on to the dart throw. I think there's a couple very interesting dart throws on the board for this week. We'll start with you, Lou. Who are you liking for a dart throw?
I really want to say Weidman, but I think he dies. And I also think he's going to be kind of a popular dog at his salary. So I'm going to play Nate the Train at 7,300 here because I don't think his ownership is going to be huge. And let's be honest, man, This line is probably a little wider because Emmers is coming off just an absolutely crazy first round KO. He's been known to have stunts before. More importantly, his optics to the judges. Like, do I think he won the Jack Jenkins fight? Yes. But his optics are terrible. Like, he gets takedowns. He doesn't really do much. He's pretty low volume. Like, yeah, he crushed Bazooka, but Emmers in general just kind of looks okay. He makes mistakes. And Nate the Train, man, like, he could take a beating. He might throw grappling in himself. He's going to throw a lot of volume. I don't think Emmers finishes him. So even his floor might be like 30-some points for a 7,300 salary. I think Nate could steal it. I wouldn't feel comfortable having Emmers at -2 something in the third round of that fight. I'll tell you that right now. Like in a close fight. Because Landwehr, if he's going to win a round, it's going to be round 3. And he's going to be insane. Tank.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going with kind of a crazy dart throw here. It's going to be one Herbert Burns at 6,700. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he's a very, very good fighter for the first like 2 minutes. He has really good BJJ. If he gets his fight down to the mat, I think a sub could be in play. He has some power on the feet, but I think it has to be early. And that's kind of why I don't mind him as a dart throw, like a little sprinkle at 6,700. Because if he does win, it's not going to be a decision. It's not going to be a third round finish. It's not going to be a second round finish. It's going to be him catching Arce in the first couple minutes of the fight. So yeah, don't mind some Herbert Burns. And then also Chris Weidman would be the other dart throw for me there. Gordo, who you liking for a dart throw this week?
Yeah, it's Herbert Burns, sorry. Yeah, he does have that first round win equity. The other guy I have written down here is SD Dumas, 7K. I know we're making all the jokes about the ankle monitor, all that stuff, but there's a lot of jokes we made about his opponent as well. A lot of question marks on both sides here. And I do think that 7K, there is maybe a better chance he pulls off an upset than that price tag entails. He is someone who I do think may have some success later it goes. Of course, he's live to get steamrolled in round 1. We haven't really seen him face adversity too well, but what does a win for Dumas looks like? I do think it's one that comes with later success, potentially a finish there, and some that would score well at 7K. Not my most confident play. I actually prefer Burns as a dart throw, but definitely an option for sure.
All right, and last but not least, Monk, who are you liking as a dart throw?
Yeah, I had Weidman down. I had Nate the Train. Should be noted that no one nicknamed the Train has won since Jared Gooden of the UFC Austin card. So, and we've had like 3 or 4 of them motherfuckers. So just be careful there. Train's not good for 2024. We're gonna go. Yeah, exactly. So I'm always anti-Train. Give me us SD Dumas. That's the other one. 7K. If he wins, he scores well. I mean, this should be a fun fight. Yeah, Nursulton, while he has 45 professional fights, he's only got 1 in the UFC, and it lasted like a minute. So I'm not trusting that completely. While I do think he gets the round 1 win, I'm still don't mind throwing a dart at Mr. SD Dumas. Who knows? He might be. I mean, he could end up throwing darts at. But who knows with this guy? But I'll gladly throw a dart on SD Dumas for this week.
All right, there we go. What we'll do now is go to our lineups from last week. I forget if they were good or bad. What were they?
Did I win?
Results? Mid.
They were mid. Lou, I don't think
3 of them were mid.
If Weezy won, I'm claiming victory. It doesn't matter.
He did not.
He did not.
You suck, Weezy.
He's not watching now because he's sleeping.
Damn it!
So that's
I'm gonna win for him.
We'll see. But yeah, in last place it was actually Gordo in last place last week. He had Carl Williams 116, Rose Namajunas 106, Billy Q 7, Cody Gibson 22, Julian Rosa 93, and Igor Severino 20. I believe we all 4 had Ego Severino, and he got that DQ. Gordo, you scored 367. In third place was myself with Rose as well, 106, Fernando Padilla 115, Billy Q 7. Talbot 113, Gibson 22, and then Severino 20, scoring 386.16. In second place was Wheezy. Rose 106, Ramos 16, Padilla 115, Talbot 113, Hollabaugh 31, Severino 20. Wheezy scored 404. And then Monk, first place, Carl Williams 116, Rose 106, Padilla 115, Quarantello 7, Severino 20, and Hebos 66. Monk scored 433. So yeah, Severino screwed us all. Congrats, Monk, first place.
Yeah, Severino, that was super interesting. How safe and hygienic is it to go get tattooed of a bite mark where he clearly broke the skin? I have questions about that. Hopefully he uses proper antibiotics because, oh my goodness. But that bite was freaking insane, dude. My God. But yeah, Severino, boo. But yay for me.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I hope that doesn't come back to bite him in the ass. Let's say that.
Yeah, exactly.
it did. He got cut. It
He
did
did.
bite him.
You're right.
Hopefully
He'll be
they're
fine.
first.
Look, man, he's 20. He made a mistake, a stupid mistake. He'll go fight for years. He'll rehab his image. He'll be dude. There's been worse human beings in the UFC. There's worse human beings on this card. So like, he'll be all right.
There's a much worse human being on this card, that's for sure. So total standings, we are only 10 cards. It feels like this year's been going on forever, but we're only 10 cards in. We got fourth place Monk. He has 3,684. Third place Wheezy, 3,808. Second place Gordo, 4,041. First place myself, 4,172. Gordo, you're 130 behind the leader. Wheezy, 363 behind the leader. And then Monk, 487 behind the leader. So far so good, at least for me. All right, so lineups for this week, we're gonna kick it around here. We're gonna start with Gordo. What do you got for a lineup?
Yeah, I'm kind of tossing around a few ideas, but for right now, I do have Erin Blanchfield, Jacob Malkoon. We're going with Loughran at 9.4, Ebo Oslin, of course, Rhys McKee, and then taking the punt plan, Chris Weidman.
All right, yeah, I'm changing my lineup for sure, but as of now, I'm doing stars and scrubs. I'm going Arce, Ruziboev, I'm going Gordo, Chidi, Fiorot, and Pacheco, but that will like 99% be changed. Monk, what do you got for this week?
Yeah, you're missing Ebo Aslan. I'm going Cowlin Loughran, Jamall Emmers, Erin Blanchfield, the businessman Ebo Aslan, Manon Fiorot, and Andre Petrosky. So we're gonna do the same thing we did last week: stack up the old women's flyweights in the main event.
Wait, is that really his nickname? The businessman?
No, but it's the opposite of the pleasure man. So
it is
business
now.
for pleasure. I choose business.
I could see
Ebo,
it.
what do the kids say? Ebo stands on business this week
Economy.
over the pleasure man.
I like it. And then last but not least, Lou, what do you got for this week?
I'm just saying, I think this should count as Wheezy's lineup.
All right.
The last time I was on the show, my lineup would have won, so I think it should count for Wheezy's.
Then I don't think it should count at all.
I have 300 left over here. I'm going to play Loughran, Ruziboev, who I'm a little nervous about with this line movement. Aslan, of course. Joaquin, Buckley, Rhys McKee, and Andre Petrosky.
Not enough pleasure in those lineups, guys. There's not enough pleasure.
I will not have any pleasure putting him in my lineups, though.
All right. So what we'll do now is, if you guys have any questions in the chat, be sure to put them in. I have 5 questions starred, ready to go. But we're going to do our quick picks real quick, and then we'll get to those said questions. We'll start with Gordo. What are your quick picks for UFC Atlantic City?
We're going to go Erin Blanchfield by decision. We're taking Joaquin, Buckley also by decision. Bruno Silva, KO1. Ruziboev, sub-1. Bill Algeo, decision. Rhys, I picked Chidi and Njokuani, KO1. Nate Land. Oh, what is going on here? I have the wrong list. But anyways, we're going to keep going freestyle off the top of the head. Jamall Emmers, decision. Luque Godinez, decision. Julio Arce, KO2. Connor Matthews, decision. Ebo Aslan, KO1. Melissa Gatto, decision. Jacob Malkoon, decision. And Kale Loughran, decision.
All right. Monk, what are your quick picks for Atlantic City?
We're going to go Blanche, decision. Luque, decision. Silva, KO2. Ruziboev, sub-2. Guillotine, Algeo, decision. Rhys McKee, sub-2 after Chidi deaths out. RNC, Emmers, decision. Godinez, decision. Arce, KO2. Matthews, decision. Aslan, KO1. Gatto, decision. Malkoon, decision. And Loughran, KO1.
All right. Lou, what are your quick picks for UFC Atlantic City?
I don't want to give away too much because I'm doing the prop show tomorrow, but Blanchfield, sub-5. Buckley, KO2. Silva, KO1. Ruziboev, sub-1. Algeo, sub-3.
There we go.
Rhys McKee, KO2. Emmers, decision. Luque, decision. Arce, KO2. Matthews, decision. The businessman, Aslan, KO1. Gatto, decision. Petro, KO2. And Loughran, sub-2.
All right. And there we go. I'm going with Fiorot, decision. I'm going with Buckley, KO2. Actually, I'll go decision for Buckley. Give me Silva, KO1. Give me Ruziboev, submission, round 1, Kimura. Give me Algeo, KO3. Give me Chidi, KO1. Emmers, decision. Godinez, decision. Arce, KO2. Give me Matthews decision, Aslan KO1, Gatto submission round 2, armbar, and then Malkoun decision and Loughran by decision. All right, so let's get into some of these questions here. So let's see. We'll give this to Gordo. Gordo, Elijah once saying, how likely is a first round finish in the Ruziboev Dumas fight? Kind of want to play the over 1.5 at plus 115.
Yeah, I don't mind that gut-wise. I think if you look at both these styles statistically, it seems like a fighter in Ruziboev who tends to have that first round one win equity. He is someone who has a lot of power, has ability on the ground, and Dumas is kind of an unknown commodity. But I think when I'm looking at the way it personally plays out, I can see this being extended. You know, Dumas has shown some decent durability, has shown the ability to want to fight from range like he did against Azatar last time. So this could end up being a slower paced affair, and if that's the case, that's the over. But truthfully, too many unknowns for me to be confident in either side.
Yeah, it's a weird fight. I don't think I'll be betting that fight. What I'll say is I don't think Dumas is finishing anybody in the UFC. So I kind of think if Dumas wins, it might be a decision, like a greasy decision. But if Ruziboev wins, it is probably honestly early. This one can go to Lou Betya. He says, fight goes to decision, and Luque Buckley is also intriguing to me because of Luque's last fight and potential to be a grappling match, but Luque could find a sub or Buckley KO potentially.
I don't hate it because, and I would tell you this right now, if you're going to bet Buckley, don't even bother with the KO. You're not even getting really much of it. I know like the finish is crazy now, but like, I think this is all going to start converging on each other, like the line and the finish prop. I don't think Luque is finishing Buckley. I don't think he's going to try to fight that kind of fight. So I think on his end, it's safe. And if Buckley does go to the grappling, it's not like he's rushing to get ground and pound. Like you've seen him on the ground. Like it's position over submission. He's not going for subs, but he likes getting position. He's safe. He works his way into positions. Luque is very good off his back. Will be able to fend stuff off. So I can see it. I mean, it's one of these things you may want to wait till close to fight time because I think the under is still going to get steam. It might be parlayed. So you probably get like closer to plus 180 by fight time.
Yeah, me and Weez were talking about this actually on StatTickers. We were like, this over and the fight goes, it could be like the easiest bet of a lifetime, or it could be like the sweatiest bet of a lifetime. It all depends how it kind of plays out, I think.
I think if it gets into the third round, it hits you. I don't think there's a third round finish here. So I think you're sweating like early Buckley bonkage or Luque just like wrapping him in a choke. Like I think as this fight, once you get past like the 9-minute mark of this fight, I think that becomes safe.
Yeah.
Buckley held on against Al Hassan. He was just trying not to die the third round of that one in a fight that we all probably got wrong for fight doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, I got that wrong for sure. I got like the under 2.5 at a great price, I remember, and then it somehow went to decision. Let's see here. This one can go to Monk. It's from our guy, Kyle Marley. He says, who pleasures our DK lineups with the most points this weekend?
Obviously, historically, Malkoun scores the best on the card, but I don't know if that's going to happen against his opponent this week because of that style. We've also got Chidi. I mean, Chidi, super early round one finish upside. He's on the list. I like Blanch in a decision to score a shitload of points. Who's the other? I mean, Ebo is the other one. First round finish potential there. And probably Colin Loughran, to be honest, would be my other pick.
Yeah, I think a lot of these fighters have like first round upside, like Bruno Silva first round upside, Ruziboev first round upside, Chidi obviously first round upside, Aslan first round up, like we can get like a lot of first round finishes, and then of course we have a guy like Loughran who could do a ton, Blanchfield could do a ton, so that's kind of a tricky one. Lou, who do you think pleasures our lineups the most?
I'm hoping it's Algeo to spite all of you. That's my answer. I hope Algeo just comes out and gets like 19 takedowns in a round 3 sub.
I'll take a round because I'm playing the round 3, I think, for Algeo. So I'll take that. Gordo, who pleasures our lineups the most?
I'm in on Kyle Loughran this week. I know it's an expensive salary, but hopefully that scares other people away. I mean, shooting 11 takedowns against Taylor Lapilus is going to turn out a bit different when you're facing Angel Pacheco here. He has the ability to go up against he has the ability to hold a very high pace against a low defense opponent. I do think he has a pretty high ceiling here, and hopefully his higher price tag scares away ownership.
All right, and then this one's for Lou. Dixon saying, Lou's thoughts on his boy Algeo having an OnlyFans.
I'm going to answer 2 of his questions he asked in one. Yes, I'm going to the show, and you and I are going to have a beer. And then we'll go from there. But you and I are going to have a beer, and we'll like run away from Mushroom. when that happens. It's like, this whole OnlyFans thing is like, so if Dixon is the OnlyFans fade guy, then I have a homework assignment for him, because I would be curious to know how many times this happened when somebody's the favorite or somebody's underdog, because he bossed losing like, okay, well, she was the dog. She's supposed to lose. Billy Q, the line got steamed, but I'd be curious, like, how many people that are pretty big favorites, like, I mean, Algeo is in the minus 200 range right now. So I'd be curious to know how many of like, I'd love to know an actual breakdown of like how it works with like line versus OnlyFans. And also, like, are they tasteful nudes? Are they like horrific?
Implied nudes.
I feel like it matters. I certainly feel like, yeah, like if this is like a tasteful nude with like the black dot, that's fine. Like, I don't count that. But if it's like feet pics, and don't research that, but like if it's feet pics, I feel like that's way worse.
No pot dots.
I mean, Marina Moroz was doing like the whole thing. Like, no wonder.
Yeah, and now she sucks.
Yeah.
Now she's terrible.
Eileen Perez is like the one exception. Like, Perez has looked really good against Pudilova and Ashley Evans Smith. And she does,
you know where she hasn't looked good? On OnlyFans.
Oh,
well, also Ashley Evans Smith has an OnlyFans, so that's OnlyFans.
Oh, it canceled it out. It canceled it out.
Cancels out, exactly.
Okay.
I'm more curious where we're going to be in a few years.
Don't cross the streams
when the Mug Shorties fade starts.
Oh, I can't
care
wait
about
for
the
that.
Mug Shorties fade.
Yes. Agapova's on there, Lou. Agapova's on there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 100%.
She is on there.
My heart. She got her fight announced. My heart just flooded.
SD Dumas.
Oh, I don't care.
What if you guys get Agapova versus Liang Na, dude?
If she was fighting
versus the
like
Pleasure
the North
Man
Pole, I'd go to the North Pole if that was her next fight, man.
That is Lou's type of girl.
There.
Oh man,
she is a terrifying woman. That's for sure. Terrifying. All right, see if we have any other questions in here. I think we talked about this a little bit. Do you think Luque is going to strike with them? I guess that's the big question. What do you guys think? You think Luque is going to strike with Buckley or try to take him down like it did RDA?
He probably tries to strike with him more.
I have an interesting version of this question.
Okay.
Every time Luque got a takedown against RDA is the one that was like going for grappling. Like, Luque was fine to cage push and not really go for takedowns. It was when RDA started like reaching and dipping his head. That's when the takedowns came. So I don't know that Luque really wants to go heavy grappling here, but I think he's good with like staying safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then this one can be for Monk because you actually stacked the main in cash. So yeah, you think it's the go-to this week?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Both, like I said, both women land a ton of striking volume, which is always good. One of them has the grappling upside, so we hopefully get to see some non-significant strikes. The more of those you land, it's time after time after time. You're gonna score a shitload of points if you get a bunch of non-significant strikes. So I love the main event to stack in cash for sure.
Yeah, I don't mind. I think it's safe. I think if you're looking for something safe, that's solid. And then last question here: fights to end in a split decision. Gordo, what fight do you like and end in a split?
Yeah, I don't mind either the main event or Matthews versus Bazookia. Those are two fights I think have two fighters with opposite styles. I think there are two fights that are implied to go the distance, if I'm not wrong. And two, I just see it being dicey. And that's what we kind of want in a split decision is people having polarizing views. And I do think it could be a battle of cage pushing for Bazooka versus volume for Matthews. That one could be there. Or it could be a battle of control versus damage in the Fiorot versus Blanchfield fight. It should be an interesting one.
Yeah, the one that jumped off the page to me was that Bazookia Matthews fight. Lou, what fights you like going to split, if any?
I mean, a couple of these, like, you have overs like minus 350 or 300 in the Luque fight. Like, so a split there is going to probably be 325, 350 odds tops. I'll go a little different. I think the Landwehr Emmers and Gordo just doesn't care about our opinion, guys.
He got mad.
Really weird. The Landwehr Emmers fight could be really interesting. I see it at plus 450. I just think that Landwehr is a guy who wins weird optics. And if you're talking about a split decision, yes, he could land more damage, even if he's controlled more. If Emmers lands more shots, the way Landwehr fights, he could definitely get some optics and steal around with like the last frenetic 45 seconds. I also think he wins round 3 at a reasonable clip. So that's an interesting one at plus 450. In a fight that I think goes the distance at a very high clip.
Who pissed Gordo off? Who pissed him off?
I don't know.
Oh, he's back. There he is. Okay. Gordo, welcome back.
He's like, Monk's seat looks comfortable.
Yeah, I just wanted to be down here. I needed to let the star of the show get up there.
There you go. There you go. And yeah, Dixon saying judges, they do hate Emmers.
They do. His optics are too. The Jack Jenkins fight shouldn't have been a split.
No, should not have been at all.
And Landwehr is going to throw a lot more than Jack Jenkins did.
Yep. All right. So yeah, I think we did it all, guys. I'm going to kick it around. Lou, let the people know where they can find you. Let them know about the new Twitter as well. Really, really excited to see you back on.
Well, now hold on a second. Yeah, it's not my Twitter. So
I know.
The scribe of Lou, my administrative assistant, who I pay not much, we'll just say. She's got her headphones on. But anyway, it's her account, the Desk of Lou Betya, where I just shout orders and I have stationery. And every once in a while, I will let the scribe speak also. But this is just me issuing commands from afar. My first week off Twitter, Santos fight had like 3 ball shots. I don't want to say it on this channel, but a certain soccer parlay that I've been pushing, a guy named Phil and a guy named Hornkamp hit. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. So anyway, that follow Lou. He's that guy's account. Prop show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. with Finesse the Books on the MMA channel, and midnight tomorrow, of course, the usual Monkey Show nonsense with my boy Monk.
Let's go. Let's
and then
go.
Off to AC.
What when you headed out there? Friday or Saturday?
No, there's way too many soccer games. I bet Friday. I'm going Saturday morning.
Makes sense.
Way too many games.
All right, Gordo, what do you got going on for this week for some content?
I'm kind of thrown off. I don't know what I'm going to do without Wheezy telling me to bathe in the blood of my vanquished Draftkings enemy. Like, Lou, does your scribe have the ability to tell us to do that, or?
Lou has authorized me to tell you that Wheezy is using my lineup this week, and he hopes it makes you retire from every competition you did.
Oh,
wow, those are some fighting words. Wheezy's getting aggressive.
I look so young and handsome because I drink the blood of young runaways like yourself. Is that better?
Yeah, that's it. You know what? It's just because he's in the city of love right now, isn't he? In France,
young runaways.
He's going to Italy too. I thought
he's going everywhere.
Then
at least we know he's in Paris now.
Boy, tough life for Wheezy. The struggle is real, Wheezy. The struggle is real.
No, but for me, guys, you can find me on Plays and Fade Sports on YouTube. I have my full card picks and predictions, Draftkings and betting breakdown out now, timestamp for your viewing pleasure, as well as having my full card bets posted on my Twitter at GamblesGordo. Be sure to check that out. I wish everyone all the best luck in all your Draftkings and betting endeavors this weekend. And Lou, enjoy a live resin vape for dessert at the card.
Oh my God! No, thank you.
We go with mushroom, right? You got to have something.
It's the drug-free zone except alcohol.
Oh, imagine eating a full mushroom meal.
Nobody believes that. Like, I don't smoke.
I
don't, dude. I don't care that people do. Like, it's just not really for me. Unless I'm on Chronic Combat, and that's like, I'm like, all right, let's go. That's a disaster.
When in Rome.
Right.
All right, Monk, let the people know what you got going on.
Yeah, Monk and Lou's happy hour with my guy Lou Betya, my intrepid co-host, tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Central, 12 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to be breaking down all 14 fights from a betting and DraftKings perspective. It's going to be phenomenal because Lou's going to be looking forward to AC, so it's going to be a good show. So be sure to check that out.
There we go. There we go. And then as always, I'll be going live Friday, like 4 Eastern time, and then Saturday for Best Bet 2 hours prior to the prelims. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Lou, for coming on. Lou, if you want to come on next week, you're free to do so. Wheezy will still be somewhere. And so,
is next week the Chris Curtis card?
Yes.
Mark me down, son. Mark, I will do everybody's show next week. I'll do 70 shows next week.
You should.
For
Chris the Pleasure Man Curtis.
You know how I love Cody Brundage?
Yeah.
I get Cody, I get Bo Nickel, I get my Sophie's Choice fight the week after, and then I get Chris Curtis. And oh man.
We gotta have you on.
Yeah, well now I mean every fighter to fade. Chris Curtis. Why? Because he sucks. I hate him.
Because he won't fight me.
It might not be the most technical show I've ever done.
That's awesome. So Lou has a grudge with Chris Curtis. Wheezy has a grudge with Charles Johnson. I had a grudge with like Roman Dolidze for a second. We're good now.
He threatened you. You didn't have a grudge. He threatened you.
He didn't threaten me. He said, "Can you please not say that, brother?"
Oh, I saw what he sent.
Yeah, it's what he didn't say.
I saw what he sent you, dude. That was a threat. I felt threatened. I felt threatened for you reading it, dude.
It was a little scary, but we're good now. Monk, who do you have a grudge with? Anybody?
I mean,
The Pleasure Man.
I mean,
yeah.
it's right there, dude.
I mean,
And
fucking
then
pleasure, man.
Gordo, who do you have a grudge with? We all have a grudge with somebody.
Gordo don't hate no.
Oh, I'm Canadian. You know, I like everybody.
That's what I thought.
He's gonna hate Algeo.
No, I love Algeo. I love. Maybe
All right.
you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to go there. We'll save that for another time. You can end the show.
All right. I'm 6'4". Delidze's like 6'2", but
Are you really 6'4"?
He's Georgian. Yeah, I'm 6 foot. I'm really tall.
How tall are you two, dopes?
6 foot.
Same.
No 5'11", 6 foot.
Are you really?
I'm
6 foot
5'11". I won't lie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm way shorter than all.
Why am I scared? He has more hair on his chest than I do.
I'm
Delidze's
5. I'm
a
5'8",
goddamn
man.
monster.
I'm Italian. I'm
Yeah.
5. It's not my fault. My parents are. Italian
Were you the one in
Oh,
Brady's chat asking about his shoe size? It was definitely you.
No, I don't. Dude, that's not my brand.
Yeah, somebody kept asking me that last week. It's really weird.
By the way, can I end the show with a little shout out? 2 days
Yeah.
from now, Friday. Happy 83rd birthday, Dr. Betya. Celebrating over at the parents' house.
Hey,
There we go.
83rd birthday. For
Happy
the old man.
birthday.
happy
Wow,
early
happy
birthday. Heck yeah. All right, guys, that is about it. Like on your way out, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio, and best of luck for UFC Atlantic City. See you guys later.